Hello, Leos. Welcome to your August 2017 reading. Happy birthday to all the Leos out there. Some of my closest friends are Leos and Leo risings. I love you all. And as you know, this month is going to be a big month for Leos and Aquarians alike. There's going to be a lunar eclipse on August 7th in your 7th house, and it's going to be a full moon in Aquarius. And then there is a solar eclipse happening on August 21st, and that's a new moon in Leo, and that's happening in your 1st house. So I didn't really spend too much time going over the astrological, like what's happening astrologically for you all, ironically, because it's a big month, I think, for a lot of signs, mainly Leo and Aquarius, right? But I just kind of wanted to get the bare bone basics of what's happening, right? So your lunar eclipse on the 7th of August is happening in the 7th house, house of partnership, house of one-on-one relationships, marriages, business partnerships, how we harmonize one-on-one with people. And, you know, when a lunar eclipse happens, I sort of see it as like the illumination of the shadow self. Like your shadow self is highlighted or sort of brought to life to a certain extent. And in that you know, surfacing of the shadow, right? And that facing of our shadow self, which, you know, and the moon is happening in your opposing sign of Aquarius, which, you know, when we think about it, you know, opposite signs, when we have two opposing signs, it's not just about opposites. It's also about, you know, shadow versus light in a lot of ways. Like what's underneath the coin, like what's being shadowed on the other side of the coin. So Aquarius sort of being your, I guess you could say, your shadow sign, your shadow self, right? In your 7th house of how you harmonize with other people. And Aquarius really being all about how do I be one with the crowd? How do I maintain group identity? How do I not rise above or have the desire to rise above? Which is a very Leo kind of quality, right? Like you all are fighters. You all, you know, are used to, I don't want to say used to, but you all, you know, being ruled by that 5th house, having that 5th house energy, like standing out and being center of attention comes very naturally to a lot of Leos. And so with Aquarian energy, it's more of like, how do I, you know, put the needs of the group before the needs of my own? How do I put the desire of the group to shine before my own desire to shine, right? Like what is that, you know, and how is that energy playing out for you in your 7th house? How is that energy playing out in the sense where, you know, we're recognizing, you know, that maybe the ego, right? Like the ego, because a Leo it's in a Leo that's not vibrating at its highest, you know, a Leo that's kind of operating on a very kind of non-integrous or shadow sort of self or shadow way can be very much attached to the ego, right? Being ruled by the sun, everything revolves around the sun, right? And if you don't check that Leo energy, check that Leo power, then there can come this tendency where it's like you think everything has to revolve around you. And even in your closest partnerships, like if you're in a relationship and you're having this mentality of like, everything still revolves around me, this person revolves around me. No, 7th house is about how do these two energies kind of ebb and flow with one another equally and harmonize equally with one another. It's not a power dynamic, you know, it's a very equal level playing field. So looking at maybe, you know, the shadow nature, what are the things, how do you operate in your most intimate partnerships that actually aren't working for your partnerships? Or what do you need to kind of acquire a more Aquarian, you know, humanitarian group sort of identity? Like what is the need of all the group? Like what is the need of this partnership? Not just my need, but what is needed for this partnership, right? You have you you have yourself, the other person, and then the partnership itself becomes another entity, right? The partnership becomes another quote unquote person, so to speak. And so what are the needs of that person or that entity before the needs of my own? So that's just kind of what I'm picking up for 7th house, lunar eclipse activity. And then you have a solar eclipse on the 21st happening in your 1st house. And solar eclipses, once again, dealing with the sun, right? The moon, lunar eclipse, moon dealing with shadow, dealing with that which needs to be illuminated, right? Which isn't naturally or very easily seen. Solar eclipse, dealing with the sun, are things that are kind of right in front of us, things that we see very easily, things that we don't really necessarily have to dig like too deep to get to, like that moon shadow self, right? So with the solar eclipse happening in your 1st house, I definitely see, new ideas, a new relationship to yourself, a new relationship to how you navigate, your own value systems within yourself. Maybe a new job is coming up. Definitely newness within the 1st house, newness within the house relating to you and yourself and how you may relate to the world around you. And I definitely see and sense very tangible things coming through, right? Like with the lunar eclipse, it's more of a 12th house subconscious, shadow self kind of, digging out, whereas a solar eclipse can actually bring about physical manifestations, right? Things that are actually happening right in front of us, things that we can see, things that we can touch, things that are actually becoming real in the physical plane. So that's kind of what I'm picking up on for you all. And, I'll go ahead and start the reading. And I was sitting and kind of meditating with the cards for a little bit, and one of the things that one of the sensations that I felt as I was sitting and kind of reflecting on Leo for August, was this sense of understanding, like, okay, like I see now, like there's like this clearing of vision, like there's this clearing of, awareness, so to speak. So let's get started with the reading, and let's see what's going on with the Leos for August for 2017. Happy birthday again. That's a lot. Maybe I should just let it all. Sometimes I get weary of allowing, yeah, see? Working some things out. Definitely working some things out. And in private. Okay. This is much better than last month. And then I had some Leos comment last month and who were telling me that I didn't know what I was talking about with what I was saying about what was happening with Leos. And you know what? Like, these are general readings. This isn't going to apply to everybody. So if it doesn't apply to you, just go and watch another video. Just go and watch another video. It's that simple. So if a video doesn't, I have a job and I have things that I have to do. So if a video doesn't resonate with you, or if a message doesn't resonate with you, go to another video. Just go to another video. It's that simple. Click. Bye. Nobody has time. Nobody's got time for you to write comments on, death. Here we go. All right, moving on. So, death. Yeah. I like this card for you all. I think this is I think this is in good timing with the eclipses happening this coming month in August. And I think with the death card, for me, the tower card is a very fast pace kind of, I didn't like, upheaval kind of change. Whereas with the death card, and I think I said this last month in a couple of videos that got the death card for some signs, but like this figure up here, this skeleton, this warrior, right? Like, he's been in battle. He's been kind of proceeding slowly on this horse, and he's been able to see. It's been a slow procession. And he can see what's before him. So this is like no surprise, right? This transition into this new light, it's not a surprise. He saw this coming for miles. And so I think, with a lot of you, with what's been happening with Leo, is that there has been some holding on to past or previous, like, behavioral patterns or ways of doing things that just don't work for you. Like, they don't work for you. And yeah, right, it's like you're holding on to a way of being and a way of doing things that isn't working. And it's like the more and more you keep doing it, the more inevitable this actually becomes, right? Like, the more and more that we cling to this, the more we're actually, on our way to letting it go, so to speak. So I definitely see some really positive movement forward for a lot of Leos coming. And these are the cards. This is kind of what came out for you all. And if more cards need to get pulled, we'll pull more cards. But I'm actually really happy with, like, what's happening here compared to what was happening last month. And once again, if the message resonated with you last month, great. If not, there's many videos out there. But, one of the, definitely working some things out. And, this person here is looking at every single detail and crevice and crack and marking and blemish that is on every single pentacle, right? And I think, for you all, having this solar eclipse in the first house, definitely, representing, like, what are the like actual tangible, right, the physical aspects of myself, and how I relate to myself, and how am I working all of these things out. But I definitely see hard work being utilized here. And I see working alone. I see a lot of you kind of taking time. Like, I see a lot of people in here, right? Like, I see people. I kind of see this as being you, right? I kind of definitely see this as the Page of Pentacles, as this is like this is Leo having a kind of it's new. It's not a King of Pentacles, right? It's a page. So it's still a very new, and it's like the page is now looking at one of the finished and final products that are being worked out here in the Eight of Pentacles. And this guy, like, he's not really, he's seeing the bigger picture. He's not really thinking about, like, how can what can I buy with this now versus what can I buy with this 10 years in the future, when I've laid down some investments and I maybe bought some property, versus, like, can I buy that pair of shoes this weekend, right? Like, there's a difference in what it is that we choose to invest in. And, like, those investments can either take us a long way, or they can be very temporary, right? And there needs to be a balance of that. But I definitely see this page as, holding one of those finished products, holding one of those finished, polished pentacles. And I see, Page of Pentacles for me is also about your relationship to how you value, like, not only yourself, but what you have, what you, those second house issues of what I value, what I have, like, how can I make money? How can I use what I've got to create more of what I want? So I definitely see this card, being you all, right? And I think, in that energy, right? So you have the Page of Cups here too. And I see this as somebody else. I see this as a potential offer. I see this as a potential, a water sign, right? A Cancer, Pisces, or a, God, I'm blanking out. I'm sorry. Scorpio. Sorry. Don't upset the Scorpios. So I definitely see this as the Page of Cups. Or yeah, I mean it is the Page of Cups, but I definitely see this as like a new offer coming in, right? And with the activity that's happening in your 7th house, there is, you have like these two cards here too. You have the Ace of Cups and the Knight of Cups that's coming in, right? So I definitely see like romance coming in. I see new opportunities coming in. I see a recognition, right, of an offer, right? And it's like, I almost feel like, these two cards represent a very, like, the same person, right? And initially, right, this offer appears, the Page of Cups is not, it's a page, right? Again, it's not a knight, it's not a king, it's not a queen. It's a page. It's a very sort of immature, sort of youthful energy. And so when I have this youthful energy here that's making this sort of romantic offer, it's more of it airs more so on the side of lightheartedness. It airs more so on the side of, it's like puppy love. I don't know how else to explain it, but I see this person offering you like, oh, I see you have this nice pentacle. Well, I have this really awesome cup, and like maybe I can add to that, right? Maybe I can help, right? In building to what you already have started creating here for yourself. Let me get clarification on that. Page of Cups. Why is the Page of Cups here? But oh wow, that's a lot. But be careful, once again, be careful, right? What I'm just kind of recognizing here is what I said before about the 7th house is about how we harmonize and how we sort of get on with other people, and that, Leo's the shadow aspect, right? Like a Leo that's not coming from a place of not operating, right, from a place that's relating to their highest self, or that's operating kind of like at a low vibration, right? Like that's like a Leo that's kind of that's not in touch, like with their spiritual principles or values within themselves, right? Can allow that sun ego energy to really kind of take over and to really sort of become the center of their own and everybody else's universe, right? And the expectation that I am the center of everybody's universe. And so just be careful, right? That, like, in this person making this offer, right? That in this person kind of being like, hey, like, I like you, or I think you're cute, or I want to take you on a date, right? That you like this page is looking at this pentacle and this pentacle only, right? So, be sure to, release the gaze from the pentacle, release the gaze from this golden shiny orb that you're holding, right? Which ironically, and not so ironically and coincidentally, resembles the sun, right? In a lot of ways, right? Like, yes, we are rebuilding. Yes, there is a reworking of self, and there is a reworking of your values, and there is, a reworking of, maybe there is a new job, maybe there is a new hobby, or a new skill set that actually really that you're able to really get into, and that can bring you some kind of financial success. But don't forget, right? Like, don't forget that need for that seventh house energy to still be present. Like, look at this page. Look at this page. Even if you're not interested, just look at them, right? Like, we also don't need to be here and we also don't need to always just be here and just be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna, only look at me, myself, and I, right? Like, so just be mindful of that too, that in this reworking of things, in this new idea, new sense of who we are, in this new value, and in this, preciousness, right, of this gift, like, we can share that with other people still. And when I asked to clarify the Page of Cups, the Ace of Wands came up. And, the Ace of Wands, new beginnings and creativity, a new beginning. It's just a new beginning. And like I said before, it may not be, like, it could be very fast and fleeting. It can also be, it can be a very fast and fleeting new beginning, right? Ace of Wands to me is a burst of passion. How long that passion lasts for is really between you and that other person. Like, how far do you want to carry that passion through? Is really up to you, and the Six of Wands, again, is like, I see this person alone, this victor standing alone with these wands, and they have the victory wreath, right? But what's the card that comes right after the Six of Wands, right? It's the Seven of Wands, and he has to battle to maintain his spot at the top. So it's like, sometimes it's just easier. It's not necessarily easier, but sometimes it's in our highest good that, yes, like, to be the victor, to be on top, to be, can be a really great and powerful thing. But then there's the flip side to everything, right? That when we're at the top and we're the victors, there's also this now need to stay at the top, to stay number one. And maybe that's not, and I think the lunar eclipse is really asking you to observe, how can I incorporate some more Aquarian? Like, this is not a very Aquarian, this is very Leo-like, this is not very Aquarian, right? Like, Aquarius, if anything, is the victor behind the scenes. Aquarius, if anything, is not too interested in being in the spotlight, but is more interested in how the group itself and how the values and the values and the beliefs of the group can take the spotlight over any one single person, right? And again, an Aquarian, right? An Aquarian, and I'm talking a lot about the Leo-Aquarius dynamic because there's a lot of opposing energy happening right now with these lunar and solar eclipses that are going to be occurring. But even with the Aquarian, can become incredibly conservative in holding to their values, and sometimes actually fails to kind of do this, right? Can sometimes become so detached that all it sees is, right, like, the value system, or, the group, that intimate relationships can become lost in translation. So can I get a clarifier for the Six of Wands? No. See, there's a lot to say to Leos this month. Can I get a clarifier for the Six of Wands, please? All right. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, the Six of Wands, I normally read it as like, yes, great, victory, riding in with confidence. Yes. But I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to think of the right words to like use, right? But it's like there's like there's definitely some like polar opposites, right, that are happening in these two cards, right? This card, both people are victorious. Both people are coming together. Both people are standing equally, right? Whereas with this character, he's victorious, but he's the only one at the top. Notice that he's the only one with the victory wreath. There's all these wands, and he's the only one that has a victory wreath on it, right? Whereas both people can share, right? And it's like with the Five of Wands, the conflict of not surrendering to this energy. What's the conflict in not surrendering? What ends up, conflict ends up happening within when you don't surrender to this energy and you try to sort of maintain this attitude of being number one or being on top, when it's like there are other people, there are two people, right? There are a lots of other people who are in your life, who are around you, who want to create with you, who want to partner up with you. But as long as you're here, only kind of seeing the vision of yourself, it's not going to really bring a lot of balance about. So, then we have this Ace of Cups, right? And there's totally a new opportunity. There's a new possibility for something that's substantial, for something that can be very emotionally fulfilling, for something that has the capacity to actually, fit I don't want to say your ideal, but to definitely notch a lot of those little boxes, right? That you have about the qualities that you want in a person, and, the type of person, and, is he sensitive, or is she sensitive, or are they sensitive, right? There's definitely they're laid out like this, right? So there's definitely a real substantial offer that is making its way to you, right? And it's like, again, we have the Four of Wands versus like these two wands, right? Great card, but it's like, it's still indicative of somebody, right, standing in their own victory and not recognizing the various energies and people, right? The various like how other people, right? Like the healing, right? Like this is Archangel Raphael. And Archangel Raphael is the archangel, the head angel that oversees, healing, all healers, people who are in healing professions. This is the international medical symbol. I can't remember the name for it. I will look it up for the next time I do a reading and this card pops up. This is the international symbol for medicine, and you have these two energies here, this feminine energy and this masculine energy, and they're coming together, and it's like healing takes place between these two people, right? Like they both have the capacity, yes, to do their own healing, but in coming together, there's a certain level of healing that occurs when they get to come together that may not occur when they're separate from one another, right? And that's not always the case. Sometimes you do actually need to step away and do your own healing. But in this card in particular, both of these energies are coming together and are able to actually receive this beautiful sense of healing with one another. Like that, like they're in standing here, or in assuming that the victory is solely yours and yours alone, right? We lose out on the different collaborations that we've had with people, and in how coming together with others, right? Coming together, right, with that cup, right? Like this person's ready to offer their cup. Are you ready to offer their cup? Are you ready to offer your cup back? Right? So I definitely see lots. And I almost kind of feel like this is the same person who is, at first was like, hey, like, what's up? I think you're cute. I think you're, and feeling kind of like, I don't want to say ignored, but definitely like you're on your high horse, right? Then gets kind of on their high horse and is like, well, I have an even bigger offer, right? Like they're not going anywhere, right? Like they may have appeared to be a page at first, but they're actually really a knight, and they may actually be a king too, or a queen. Like we don't know yet, right? But I definitely sense that this person is stepping up their game, is stepping up, whatever offer they had, and is kind of gonna one up you on their horse, right? And yeah, I definitely on your high horse, but don't forget, you didn't get there without the help of many people. Right? And that ultimately, Leo, this is what you do want this. This is something that is wanted, right? Like even in the layout, right? Like he's riding towards this Two of Cups energy, right? So as much as you want to pretend that it's not something that you want to do, it is. And even in this offer, this Knight of Cups is like, I can offer you the Four of Wands, right? And I can offer you and it's the difference between being on the high horse, right? Versus being in harmony and being on stable ground with this other person, right? Being able to manifest with this other person. Is a beautiful thing, is an awesome thing. So I definitely see that, this energy, right, of being on the high horse kind of opposes this energy of actually, the victory is shared. The victory, we are all, the victory reef is even bigger with this Four of Wands. And there can be some real stability and some real happiness with this person. And again, this person, Knight of Cups, could be a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, or a Pisces. Now I forgot the Pisces. Or it could just be, it could be a person with a lot of water in their chart. It could be anybody really, but somebody who is willing to offer their heart. Someone who is willing to offer a substantial emotional, who has something substantial to offer you emotionally. And now we have the Justice, the Justice card here. And, I think it's like what I'm reading here, through this Justice card is that there must be a balancing out for all things, right? It's even noted, Albert Einstein even said it himself, right? That energy can never, and I'm not quoting it directly, right? But energy can never fully be destroyed. It just becomes transferred or transformed into something else, right? And the same thing goes for, karma, right? It's like, what we do, there is not an end all and be all of what we do and say and how we act, right? It just gets transformed into other experiences. So if I'm going to go throughout my life and I'm going to exert or put out or exude negative energy, then I'm probably going to get those experiences back, right? Whatever I transmit is what I'm going to get back. I'm a as humans, we're kind of like radio towers to a certain extent, right? And the Justice card for me is really saying, and and again, it depends on who you've been in your personal life, right? Like I can't determine that for you. But we all have karma bank accounts. We all have we all have these centers through which we deposit and withdraw karma, you know? And so if I go through my life putting in hard work, or not hard work, but you know, if I go through my life trying to be the best person that I can possibly be, or being honest, or just having some kind of value system in my life where I'm not fucking people over, chances are I'm going to have some pretty decent karma to come back. I'm probably going to, you know, draw some good experiences back to me. And again, right? Like in your day-to-day interactions with people, right? Like if I'm interacting with people and I'm having positive interactions and I'm being kind and I'm being nice, if I'm being loving, right, regardless of what my circumstances might be, then like I might be able to get some decent karma back, right? So I definitely see this card as like, you know, I think there have been a lot of Leos and a lot of Aquarians too, because the two are very connected, right? Being opposite signs and what's been happening astrologically the last year, the two have been very connected. But with the Justice card, I think a lot of Leos and Leos and Aquarians have been like, what the fuck? Like, I'm going through so much in my life right now, and I don't know. When is it gonna stop? When is it gonna get better? And I see this card definitely as a beacon of hope that, like, yeah, remember all of that work that I had you do? This is like the universe saying, remember all that work that I had you do? Yeah, it's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off. And that's what happens when you actually do the work, right? And again, it depends if you did the work, and it depends on how you've treated people in your day-to-day life. It depends on how you've shown up in your relationships, right? Are you showing up like this 24/7? Which this Page of Pentacles, it's a young energy. Again, it can be a bit of an immature energy. And I feel like this Page of Pentacles gets kind of attached to whatever symbolizes or whatever is symbolized in that pentacle, right? That page is very much kind of entranced by whatever that pentacle represents and can't see anything beyond it or past it and is kind of stuck gazing at it. Whereas with this Page of Cups, he's offering the cup, but he's offering and handing it out to somebody else, and it's like, look what I have to offer, and it's like, where this is like, look at me and how awesome I am, which is great, right? But sometimes when we're in this mature energy, when we're in this immature energy, we can get stuck here and we can get grandiose when we're here for a bit too long. So I want to get a clarifier for the Justice card. Can I get a clarification for the Justice card? Clarification for Justice. Yeah, what goes around comes back around, right? Like the Three of Wands, he sent out messages, and now he's waiting for them to be returned. He's waiting for these ships to return. He sent these ships out with whatever messages, whatever products, whatever merchandise, whatever he put on them. And now he's waiting for them to return back to him. So it depends. What did you send out on these ships? What did you send out on them? Did you send out kindness and love and generosity and understanding, or even just tolerance, right? Sometimes it's good enough, right? Or did you send out, hatred, jealousy, anger, extreme possessiveness? Like, what did you send out with these ships? Because that's what's going to come back to you. So like I said before with this Justice card, like, it's really, like, we all have these karma bank accounts. And once again, I'm not talking about, like, once again, there are systems in this world, right, that like are out of our control, right? Like racism, sexism, socioeconomic status, ableism, homophobia. There are systems in this world that, you know, we have to like fight through and that we have to overcome. And, you know, but in doing so, we still have to do our best to show up in a way that in our personal lives, in our personal relationships, in our seventh house one-on-one partnerships, you know, in the closest, most intimate areas of our lives, how are we showing up? What are we sending out? Regardless, right, of like how these systems have affected us, regardless of how, you know, marginalized we may feel, like what are we still sending out, right? Because it what goes around comes back around regardless, you know? But yeah, that's kind of what I'm picking up for you all. Sorry if that was, you know, if that last bit didn't make any sense, but I don't know if I really care whether it made sense or not. But let me pull an outcome card for Leo for August 2017. Outcome card for Leo. Soon outcome. Ten of Wands, yeah. So it's like right before the cycle, it's like, you know, so the work that I do on a regular basis to survive and to make sure that I can pay my bills and all of that, you know, requires, I work outdoors and I work in the mountains and I do trail work. And, you know, sometimes we're carrying really heavy stuff up very steep slopes, and it's always at that, like I'm carrying a bucket, or I'm carrying buckets, or I'm carrying, you know, branches and slash or whatever, you know, whatever it may be for that day that we're carrying. And like, right. But I get to work outdoors all day and it's beautiful. But like, right, like whenever I'm carrying something heavy and I'm climbing up a steep grade, it's like right before I get to like the peak or like where it levels out, it's always the hardest. It's always like, oh my God, I just want to put this down, but I don't. I push through, right? You push through because eventually, you know, it's gonna level out. You can put your bucket or your tree branch down or your log down and like, you know, chill out and drink some water for a second. So it's like this guy in the Ten of Wands, it's like he's almost through, he's almost there, but he knows that he can't lose focus. He knows that he can't look up right now. He knows that he has to keep pushing forward in order just to get to the place where he can set all of these wands down and take a rest, right? So, you know, I definitely see this month as being, you know, the culmination of many things in the lives of a lot of Leos. And definitely, you know, with creative work or, you know, not so creative work, or working out relationship issues, or working out relationship issues within your own self and how you relate to yourself. I definitely see a lot of patterns being closed out, right? Especially with that solar eclipse, right? And that in that lunar eclipse, first off, on the 7th of August, being the culmination, the ending, the climax. This is the point. The climax, right? The apex, you know, where the work gets really tough. But once you push past this point, it's all downhill from there, right? Like once you get up that, and then you can just sit up top for a second, and then it's all downhill from there. So I definitely see a lot of you pushing through a lot of old patterns and old cycles that need to be closed out. My advice would definitely be to, it's tough, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but just keep going. You're almost there. This is an almost there kind of card. This is that card where you're carrying something heavy and you can see your end. You can see your destination in sight, and you know that you just gotta push through, and once you get there, you can drop the grocery bags, drop the whatever, drop the bucket, drop the this, drop the that, and just chill out. So, you know, keep it up and be mindful of what you send out, right? Because justice, karma is paying attention, right? That even in the discomfort of the work, are you still just showing up and doing it, right? You're just showing up and doing the work anyway. If so, yeah, you'll totally get this very soon. And this, right? Very soon. And that. But yeah, just be mindful of what you put out. And just keep pushing forward. You're almost there, Leos. All right, that is your reading for August 2017. And if it relates to anything that you're going through, great. Leave a comment below or give me a thumbs up. And if it doesn't relate or correlate to your experience, there are a lot of other videos out there that may speak to your experience. Maybe you need to watch your sun or your moon or your rising sign. Who knows? But this reading isn't for everybody. It's for those who this energy relates to and who this story relates to. And if you'd like a personal reading, you can contact me at tattoosandtarot@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, which is tattoosandtarot.com, and click on the readings section. And I hope you have a good month, Leos. Happy birthday, and I will see you in September. All right, bye.